All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's the afternoon of April 28th, and I'm here with State Senate candidate Gary St. Lawrence. Gary, how are you doing today?
Good, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for making time out for this. We
No,
appreciate
thanks for
that.
having
I'm
me.
trying to, you're one of the few State Senate candidates we have up here in the North. I talked to your counterpart over here, Jack Ziblick. I had lunch with him the other day, so he said hello, by the way.
Okay.
Uh, so good that you are in state district or Senate District
51.
50, right? Tell me, just for people who may not know, what are the counties? Where is 51? What are the counties
All
involved in?
right. District 51 is, and I go kind of in a circle county-wise. It's Union, Fannin, Gilmer, Pickens, Dawson, Lumpkin, and the portion of White County that is Helen and Cleveland.
So you got quite a few counties to
Six and a
cover
half,
there.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it's
Well,
about it's about half of Congressional District 9.
right. I think there's two or three over there. There's two or three over here on the 14th side. So
Yep.
So yeah, state Senate districts can be a little tougher to cover because do have a lot of ground and people to get through there. So I
A lot of
appreciate that,
driving.
and thank you for running too. It's always always appreciate anybody who sticks themselves out there to run. That's we need people like that, and I appreciate you doing that. So what I do usually just to get things started, I just have the candidate introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, your background, anything that you think's relevant for people to
All
know, and
right.
I'll turn the camera over to you and let you do that right now.
Okay. All right. As Tom said, I'm Gary St. Lawrence. I'm the Democrat nominee for Georgia State District 51. Did not get primaried, thankfully, so I'm clear all the way through to November. I live in Blairsville with my wife and our dog Scotty. I work full time, so my campaigning is nights and weekends. So when you receive an email from me, it's a good chance I wrote it at 10:30 at night in my recliner. But I take the opportunities where I can. And the big question I always get is, why are you running? And to be honest, I can't not do this. My background is in journalism, 4.5 decades with a particular bent on journalism, on politics. I
Mhm.
was, let's say I struck my muse and was inspired when I was 12 years old and found out about Watergate and that two nobody reporters had taken down the president of the United States, and I was just awestruck by that. So I think that set my life's path on journalism and politics. So when I say I've covered politics my whole career, it's everything from city council meetings, zoning board meetings, up through county and state, members of Congress, and I've even interviewed a few presidential candidates. But I am always on the watchdog side for, we all know that fraud, waste, and abuse is a bad thing, but it's generally always referred to in terms of the how government operates. I plan in this campaign, and if I'm elected, on turning that watchdog for fraud, waste, and abuse on our politicians themselves. I think we've all had enough of profiteering, corporate welfare, campaign lies that never get delivered, empty promises, and far too much capitulation to the donor class at the expense of representing the people who put us there. So, I'm going to be very interested in ethics bills and watchdogs and exclusionary bills for to eliminate conflict of interest. If you have a financial tie in some state agency or contract or some government involvement, if there's a way for you to make money off of that, you should not be involved in that panel or discussion in any way. I don't think anyone should get elected and make a fortune off of it, whether it's insider trading or kickbacks or what have you. You're there to do a job, and the job is not to enrich yourself.
Okay, thank you. Is there along those lines? I take it that's why you're running for
It
state
is.
senate, but is there anything specific that has drawn you toward that? Is there some
Oh,
specific
yeah,
things about?
many.
I mean, we got in the world of Donald Trump, we could probably think of a thousand things, but specific to you, your the seat you're running for, et cetera. Is what
Yeah,
can you tell us there?
I can give you two concrete examples just out of this most recent legislative session. There was a Senate bill, I believe it was Senate Bill 586, and it proposed that if you have anyone who has financial ties to any government agency or contract or business entity tied to the government, you should be ineligible to run for office. It was that simple. That bill made it through the Senate, but the House wouldn't even bring it to the floor for discussion, let alone a vote. The excuse given is that that bill was just primarily to keep Rick Jackson from being able to to run
Mm,
rather. But my
right.
question is, what about our own current Senate District 51 Senator, Steve Gooch, who has active business contracts with his companies for all the wastewater treatment facilities basically throughout the state? He he allocated money from the state infrastructure funding that we were all supposed to get in 2024 from the infrastructure bill. He diverted that to Hyundai and Rivian to give them a wastewater treatment facility. And he has the contracts because his companies sell the leachate used to treat wastewater. So I think that's a tremendous conflict of interest.
Right.
So I think that bill, Senate Bill 586, not only should have passed, but should have been made applicable to anyone running for any government seat in Georgia. If I'm elected, I'll pursue exactly that kind of bill. The other example, in this legislative session, we did not get any votes on expanding Medicare. We did not get any Medicaid assistance. We did not get any physical health care or health insurance bills to ease the pressure off of skyrocketing premiums. And we didn't get any bills to compensate for all of the cuts being made by the Veterans Administration. We didn't get any votes on any of those. But we did get votes on 7 bans for things that are not happening in Georgia, like same day sex change operations in schools and kitty litter boxes in schools. We got votes to ban those, and we got a vote to change our state flower. This is the kind of nonsense, attention getting, shiny object legislation that just has to stop. Not only is it nonsense, it's a waste of our time and our tax money when we have so many hardcore needs that have to be addressed. So those are just two examples of why I'm doing this.
Okay, thank you for that. Uh, what would you consider to be? You mentioned several issues,
Mm-hmm.
topics, that sort of thing. Of all of them, the top two or three, what would they be, and what specifically would you do if elected?
Uh, well, we keep hearing all the different uh, candidate promises to cut income, property, or sales tax.
Mhm.
The thing about taxes, government makes revenue one of 3 ways: taxes, fees, or they cut services that the tax pays for. The other thing about government revenue and taxes is that taxes are like energy. They never go away. They just take on another form, whether it's increasing an existing tax, creating a new tax, or implementing a whole new bunch of fees that just happen to end up taking the same amount out of your pocket as the old tax did. So this is a really hard question to answer from outside the General Assembly because I need to see where the flux and available funds are that we can properly shift from corporate welfare and whatnot down to the individual voter level. I would like to, I'm going to pursue and at least research. I have the idea of eliminating property tax for seniors and retirees and people on fixed incomes and severely disabled veterans. And when I say severely disabled, I mean those who literally cannot work. I also, on property tax, I would like to look into whether or not it's feasible to eliminate property tax on all homesteads of 5 acres or less, because after 5 acres, there are some agricultural and farming tax cuts that are available to property owners of larger size lots. I don't have all the math and the nuts and bolts of that, but I think it's something worth pursuing because the majority of homes in District 51 are small half-acre lots, acre and a half lots, and they're just homesteads. Some of the larger ones have business entities on the property. So I want to balance reduction in property tax with the availability of tax cuts and tax credits that larger lots get. A passion of mine is taking care of our seniors and veterans. I'm going to be 63 in July, so I'm not quite a senior per se. As I
Right.
said, I'm still working. I haven't retired yet. But for 3 years, I was the adjutant for Blairsville's American Legion. And I saw firsthand how hard veterans are struggling, not only financially, but with the complex processes that the government forces upon you to get your disability, to get your check, to get this, to get that. So focusing on provisions for our veterans, increasing not only the quality of our veteran healthcare facilities, but increasing the number of our veteran healthcare facilities. And tied to that is that we have several counties throughout the state where the one hospital in the county has been closed. And now there are 4 more on the list scheduled for closure, and Fannin County is one of them. I think it's ludicrous to even presume that a county can function properly without a full service medical facility within the county. So one of the proposals I have is to either reinstate hospitals or at least one fully functional medical clinic in each county. Those can be offset by the private urgent care and whatnot. But if we get surplus taxed to the tune of billions per year, we clearly have enough money to allocate to healthcare for veterans, seniors, and retirees. I will pursue that.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
thank you.
I guess the other one would be our education. We are 27th in the country, just under below average. And our QBE, the Quality Basic Education, is the formula that's used to determine how education funding gets allocated.
Right.
Georgia's QBE was written and implemented in 1984 and has not
Right.
been significantly updated, augmented, or improved since. I don't profess to be an education professional or a finance guy, but I'm pretty certain that school budgets in 1984 didn't include laptops and software and Wi-Fi and routers and security cameras and all the costs that are essential to running an education program today. So not just an update, but a complete overhaul and rewrite of our QBE is absolutely critical for our education. I also don't think that our county education budgets should have to set aside 10, 20, 40% for lawyers' retainer fees. That money should be going to the classroom and to the teachers at the per pupil level.
Just to go back to one thing on the property tax, are you talking about property tax elimination at the state level? Uh, or
Well,
how would that
one
work?
of the things I'd like to what I think we need is that right now they kind of have an all in all. an all-in-one solution to property
Hmm.
tax. And that doesn't work for Georgia's counties because we have some counties that are very affluent and we have some counties that are dirt poor.
Right.
We have four counties in this state right now that are that close to just disappearing because they
Right.
have no funding, they have no income, they have no revenue generation. Um, so the way that we assess and allocate property taxes, the percentages and the implementation has to be done on a county by county assessment, not some magic formula at the state level that is based on the state average. Whenever you say the word average, you have to remember that half is below average.
Right.
So we have to get away from this perpetual problem of our state legislature and legislation favoring the upper half at the expense of the lower half.
All right. Well, thank you. Let's see. You've already talked some about bills that you either liked or didn't like this year. That's one of the things we want to talk about. Were there any other bills specifically in this past session
Yeah,
that caught your eye, either positively or negatively?
a couple more things that didn't make it to the floor vote this year. I think we desperately need to raise the state's minimum wage.
All
We
right.
are the lowest in the country. And for those who don't know, right now, Georgia's state minimum wage is $2.13 an hour if you have a job that includes tips,
Right.
and $5.25 an hour for state minimum wage across the board. All employers have the option to meet the 7.25 an hour minimum wage that the federal government mandates. So they have the option. So we know what percentage of people out there are working their tails off for 5.25 an hour or 2.13 an hour. And having been a bartender in in a past life, I know that tips are not reliable. You have some
Mhm.
good nights, you have some bad nights. Sometimes bad extends into a week. And if you're making 2.13 an hour and getting little tips, you're essentially destitute. So raising the minimum wage is, I think, critical. I talked to one of my young volunteers and I'd asked them, what could I do to attract the youth vote, the younger vote, the first time voters? And he said two things: raise the minimum wage and legalize marijuana. I definitely support legalizing marijuana at, at the minimum for medicinal and pain relief purposes. Recreational use, I will defer to the 17 other states that have approved it for recreational use and done all the research studies to debunk the it's a gateway drug to higher and harder drugs. That's just not the case.
Right.
And so I do support legalizing marijuana. And I'm not talking truckloads, I'm not talking about people carrying around bales of it, but recreational use is recreational use. It's the same recreational use factor we have for alcohol, which is taxed. Marijuana is not taxed. If we legalize it, it can be taxed. That's another revenue stream.
Right.
So those are two that I would also pursue.
All right, good. Now, switching over from issues to more of the politics of it. This will be put up on various websites and platforms. I'm hoping throughout the
Mhm.
ninth. Hopefully, some people will see it who will be your supporters. What do you need from those supporters um, for you to be able to effectively carry out your campaign this year?
This
What are
is
your
the
needs?
this is the easiest question you could ask me. Uh, I need money and I need word of mouth. Um, Without money, there's no advertising, there's no signage, there's no billboards. There's limited or limitations on how often and where I can travel. As you
Right.
said at the onset, I'm driving to 7 counties, and I live in Blairsville, so every other county is a drive away. Fortunately, the only county that I have to go over Blood Mountain is Lumpkin. All the rest I can get to by the 5:15, so it's an easier drive.
Yeah.
But to get my message out there, word of mouth, you know, You tell two friends and they tell two friends and so on, like the old commercial. Passing out my website address, passing out my business cards. We're going to start a door knocking and canvassing process. I believe in June. We're just
Mhm.
organizing groups that will visit various housing developments where they are concentrated. Nobody in their right mind would send a volunteer to go walking where the houses are a mile and a half apart, which a
Right.
lot of northern Georgia is.
Yeah.
So, for lack of funding, fortunately, I'm pretty tech savvy and I'm active on social media. I'm very active on social media, except Facebook anymore because I've gotten banned from Facebook.
Mm.
About a month ago, a group of individuals decided to report literally everything I posted on Facebook, including birthday wishes to friends. They reported it as porn or spam or hate mail or scams. And Facebook just saw the number of complaints and didn't bother to look into any of it. So if you've ever gone through the process, they suspend you. You get
Right.
one chance to appeal it, and the ratio of appeals is like 99.4% they reject the appeal. So I've now been banned from Facebook, and I can't even request a new account because they want facial recognition to create a new account. So to offset that, I'm becoming far more active on Instagram and WhatsApp and Threads and TikTok and Blue Sky and X. X, obviously, I'm not getting a lot of support because of the inherent audience.
Right.
So, like I said, my campaign is entirely a ground game, and it's connecting and corresponding directly with constituents, finding out what the people need and the people want. And right now, I'm doing that largely from face to face meetings. Like I was at a candidates forum just before this call, going to town chamber meetings, going to candidate forums, going to talking with every one of the county commissioner boards to find out exclusively what does that county need from me if I'm elected your senator. So far, I've met with four. I'm still working on the other three. So if I can add through funding and donations, if I can add billboards and more signage and advertising, we're gonna try to do some radio this month and next. But those are the two things I need: is word of mouth and money.
Yeah. And what was your website address? Since you mentioned that, go ahead and
Sure.
say that out.
It is all one word: St. Lawrence, STLAWRENCE, the
Right.
number four, Senate.org.
Okay. Okay.
And
Thank you.
if you go out to that website, again, I don't have much of a staff. So if you email me or message me through the website, I'm the one personally answering. I don't delegate that to anyone. I don't copy and paste, and I won't ever send anyone a form letter. The answer you'll get will be from me personally.
Okay, good. All right. Well, yeah, Gary, we've covered a good bit here. What I like to do at the end of these interviews is give the candidate basically 1 or 2 minutes to give me your stump speech. Give
Okay.
everybody watching your stump speech about why we should elect Gary St. Lawrence to be the
Yep.
next senator from District
Um,
51. So I'm going to let you close out with doing that. Go ahead.
in a nutshell, Republicans have been in absolute control of Georgia, the governor's office, the General Assembly, excuse me, House and Senate for 24 consecutive years. Democrats in that time have not been in charge of anything.
Right.
So, just from a common sense perspective, if one party has been in control for 2.5 decades, if they were going to fix anything, they should have done it by now. So the long and short of it is, if you want more of the same profiteering, partisan nonsense, shiny distraction bills, broken campaign promises, and legislative sessions that pump out fluff votes instead of anything that's integral or meaningful or helpful. If you want to continue that, vote for the Republican. If you want clearly stated legislation that has a specific and identified set of goals and objectives, as well as exactly how I will fund that objective. If you want a senator that's going to answer your questions directly with more than a form letter or a photo op, and if you want a senator who's always going to focus on your problems instead of some CEO's problems, if you want that kind of change, if you want the General Assembly and our state Senate to turn into um, an improvement factory, then vote for me.
Okay. Well, Gary, thank you so much for taking time today. I know you're busy. Like you said, you just came from an event, and those events are going to gradually pick up speed as we go through the year.
Oh yeah.
Again, this election year already seems like it's been forever already, and we're
Well,
only
I mean
still in April. So,
the primary on the Republican side is May 19th. So one upside of that is for the next 5 weeks or so, the Republicans are going to leave me alone
right,
because they're battling each other. But after May 19th, it's going to be me and whoever wins that primary, and they're going to come at me with everything they have.
right. Well, yeah, the only way to do that is come back right at them, and so I hope you'll
Yes.
do that. And best of luck to you, and best of luck to your campaign. I know we're on opposite sides of North Georgia here, but I always feel any kinship with any North Georgia Democrat because there are more of us than people think, but we are still in the minority, and but we're working our way back to becoming
But
competitive
you know,
again. And thanks to people like you, we're getting there. Yeah,
I'm working on it, and I look at it as this job serves or is intended to serve all Georgians, not just the party that supports you. That's
right.
how I'm going to operate.
Okay, that's the only way we can. And so, thank you, Gary, so much for your time today.
All
Best of
right,
luck.
Tom. Thank you.